Hello, glad to have you in this class. Today we are going to be looking at the IELTS listening distractors. What do we mean by distractors? These are deliberate traps set by examiners to sway candidates from getting the correct answers in their listening test. So you know how the listening test is. It has 4 sections, and these sections are based on difficulty level. Section 1 is the simplest, section 2, 3, and on like that to 4. Now, 2, 3, 4 are not difficult like we think they are. The only thing that makes them a bit challenging is the fact that these are the sections where these distractors are mostly used. Now, let's see these distractors and how to surmount these traps. The first distractors we'll be looking at here is similar sounding words. So some words in the English language sound very alike. For example, we have peace, P-E-A-C-E, and we have P-I-E-C-E. These two words are very similar and they are pronounced the same way. So in English, we call this kind of words homophones. But what are we looking at here? There are some words that are very similar, such that when you see one of them being used, you are confused which word particularly is mentioned. You didn't get it. I can only tell you one way to overcome this kind of trap, and that is listening actively. So an active listener would not fall into this trap because its attention is focused on what is listening. And to get this type of words, for example, when the answer is peace, how do I know the peace being referred to? Now, I get to know this from the context of the question or the conversation, right? So that means that you have to focus on the context of the conversation, and that is where active listening comes to play. So let's see an example of these similar sounding words.
Okay, listen carefully.
And how much do you think the package content is worth?
That's a good question. Well, I suppose the guitar and lamp are worth about $1,200. But with the books as well, I guess about $1,500?
Great. And where will you be sending the package to?
To Austria.
Okay, fantastic.
So looking at this audio, what is the answer? The question says country of destination. Now, what is the country of destination in this audio? Now, the country of destination is Austria. Austria. But a lot of students think the answer here is Australia, and that is because the two words are very close. And this is because many are not familiar with countries as Austria. Okay, so this is one of the traps you should watch out for. So listen very carefully so you don't fall to this trap. So another distractor here is already mentioned words. Let's see an example of this.
Carefully.
Okay, so you have 3 options for freight.
Could you please explain that to me?
Sure. So you can elect to have your goods sent by plane, which is the fastest and safest, but also the most expensive. Or you can choose to have them sent by train, which is safe and less expensive. And finally, you can send your things by truck, which is less safe, but much cheaper.
Ah, yes. Sending by truck can take far too long. I'm in a bit of a rush, so I'll go for the fastest option, please.
So 3 options were given here by plane, train, and truck. Now, truck was mentioned, even though this person didn't pick truck as the type of delivery. So looking at this, what is the answer? Obviously, our answer here is plane. When you observe the trap set there, the delivery man gave 3 options. But when this other man is supposed to choose his own type of delivery, he mentioned truck, even though truck was not the type of delivery he wants to choose. Now, the one he chose particularly, he didn't mention. Instead, he said, I would rather go for the fastest option, please. So that means that if I've not paid attention to the delivery man while he was stating the type of deliveries, what would have happened? I would definitely miss out of the question. Okay? Or if I was passively listening, I would think truck is the answer because the other man mentioned truck. So this is one of the distractors you should watch out for in the exam. So sometimes you pay attention to both conversants when you have conversation ongoing. So pay attention to both, because what this person said might not be repeated by the other person who is to confirm your answers. Now to the third type of distractor. This distractor is the most used in the exam. One of the ways to get your answers on the IELTS listening is not to match words. If you are matching words, you might do well in the first part of the test, but certainly in the third or fourth part, you might have a lot of challenges because that is where synonymy will be heavily used as a form of distractor. So, and what does this mean? Now, synonyms here means that what you see in the question will be different from what you hear. Although they are the same in meaning, but graphically they are different. So let's see an example of this.
Listen carefully. Hi everyone, my name is Tom, and today I'm going to talk to you about meditation, which is a great way to decrease your stress and improve your well-being.
Now, looking at this, what is the answer? A lot of persons will still be waiting to hear mental health. But obviously, mental health is the answer here. So meditation is a good way to decrease your stress and improve your well-being. So well-being has to do with mental health. But mental health isn't mentioned here. So sometimes, like if you have this kind of trap in the exam, I'll still be waiting. You'll still be in that number, but you've passed. And the next thing is, we have come to the end of the test. So you have to pay attention. So when you have multiple choice questions like this, don't always expect that your options will be mentioned exactly as it is put down on your question paper. So always watch out for similar words. That is words nearest in meaning to what you have. So let's see another example under these synonyms.
In the beginning of your meditation practice, you need to maintain a high level of concentration because the mind will wander from one thought to the next.
So what is the answer? High level of concentration. So our answer here is concentration. Look at the question. The question says, learning to meditate demands a great deal of dash. So a great deal of, and here they say learning to meditate requires a high level of. So great deal of and high level of mean the same thing. So our answer here will be concentration. You get that? So that's why in the last video I suggested that as you read your questions, paraphrase them to WH questions. So when you paraphrase your questions to WH, it helps you to listen in any way. So however it comes, you will get your answer. The last distractor here is the use of negatives. Now, there are different ways to illustrate negation in a sentence. The one we are mostly familiar with is the use of not. But I tell you, there are different ways aside from the use of not. And one of the ways is using prefixes, irrelevant, IR, prefixes, all these prefixes, IL, all those, legal, illegal. So illegal means not legal. So you have not in that sense. Then we have the third way to show negation is to use words that are already negative in meaning. For example, bad. Bad is a negative word. So if I use it in a sentence, it's already negative. Avoid, negative. But, B-U-T, take note, is negative. So you can have this. And sometimes you can combine two negatives. And in this case, it becomes positive. When two negatives are used together, it becomes positive. For example, if I say, the man is not irresponsible. So it means that the man is responsible. Is that taken out? So let's see an example with negative.
The vast majority of people will have no problem sitting on the floor to meditate, but if you plan to meditate for more than 10 minutes, then I recommend using a cushion so you can elevate your hips above your knees for greater comfort. Those who are injured or inflexible should use a chair to meditate.
So you see that? So what is the answer? The answer here is floor. Floor. So it says a lot of persons don't have issues sitting on the floor to meditate. But, so I've told you earlier that but is a negative word. And what does it show? It shows that if what you have said before is positive, then this is negative. Okay, so but is a word that shows contrast. So positive, negative, negative, positive. Okay, so it says a lot of persons don't have issues with sitting on the floor to meditate. Okay, but if meditating for more than 10 minutes, now more than 10 minutes is illustrated here as extended period of time, extended period in the question. You look at that, synonyms. You should avoid sitting on the dash. So if meditating for extended periods, and in the audio it is if meditating for more than 10 minutes. So more than 10 minutes is an extended period. So look at that synonym and look at the negative. But, so in that sense, we have floor as our answer. So these are the kind of traps you should expect in the exam. All right. So there's one I would like to mention, and these are situations where you have two dashes. For example, there are some questions that you have dash and dash in the exam. So when you have questions like dash and dash in the exam, please be very careful. And sometimes they'll put dash 31, dash 32. So if they put it this way, you should please listen, try to hear the two answers, possibly before you write your answers. Because see, the two dashes are very close. You are going to have the answers pronounced together. So pay attention to them. All right, so pay attention to them. And please also, if they write 31, 32, and the answers are pronounced together, please be careful not to mix them up. Because if you put the second thing they mentioned in 31, then you are wrong. Let's see an example.
So, when you start out learning to meditate, you might think, wow, this isn't hard. My mind is completely silent. But, of course, that's your mind doing the talking. What I'm trying to say is, many people gradually realize how busy their minds are, and if you do practice enough, you will be able to sit for a long time. But this comes with its own problems as well. You see, it's not just self-deception that makes meditation hard, but also the physical discomfort felt in the body.
So the answer here is self-deception and physical discomfort. Please take note of the way it is said. Self-deception and physical discomfort. And if you look at the question, they said A, that is 31 dash and 32 dash. This is how you mostly will have it in the exam. Please, if you have it this way, this place self-deception, this place physical discomfort. Are we together? If you write physical discomfort here and self-deception here, you have missed the two questions. So you have to be very careful. I believe you have learned something in this video. So if you do follow our channel for more content. Thank you so much. See you in the next class. Bye for now.